So today we will be looking at unit planning in Class Notebook. Specifically, we will be taking a look at creating subsections and how to organize and lay out your unit. The thing we'll do is open up Class Notebook, and then once that loads, I'm going to expand it so I can see the full thing, and then open my navigation panel. All right, so I'm going to walk you through, like I said, creating a module or a unit of study so that you can get an idea of what it might look like to have that inside of Teams. And I'm going to do it inside of the teacher only section. That way I can create it, make mistakes, make changes to it, all that good stuff before I ever have a student audience to critique me on it. Because, man, they love to find mistakes. All right. So I'm going to open up the teacher only pane. Now, normally I would just go down here and click plus section, but what that's going to do is actually create a new section for one of my main headers. Since I want to create a section inside of the teacher only section, I'm going to right click on one of the sections inside of teacher only, and then I'm going to create a new section right there. So I'm going to call this test section. I'm actually going to be showing you one of my Hamlet modules, but just to kind of walk you through the process, I'll do this alongside it. So there's my test section, and as you can see, it is right here now in teacher only. So just to keep in mind, if you click plus section, that's going to create one of your main sections with one of the outside tabs. If you want to create a section inside of a section, you're going to have to right click there and go to new section. So just FYI. That once you create your section, the very first thing you're going to see is that it automatically generates a page for you called Untitled Page. So this is where you begin and this is where you're going to start putting things into your module or unit or whatever you want to call it. Now, like I said, I'm going to be walking you through how I've done my Hamlet section, and that way you have the opportunity to see what it looks like to see a unit that's fully put together and see the steps that were taken to do that. But like I said, the very first thing that you want to have inside of your unit of study is an introduction to that unit. Maybe give the students directions, maybe give them an overview of what that unit is going to look like. You can give them the different tasks that they're going to be doing, a completion date, really whatever it is that you want them to have access to while they're working through the unit. So I'm going to just briefly show you a little bit about Pages, but I'm going to make a whole video on Pages. So stay tuned for that. But in order to edit the page, basically, if you can see, I just clicked inside of the white space. Now, whatever I call it up here is what it's going to be called down at the bottom when you look at the navigation. See, so intro to the unit, intro to the unit. Now, basically, to edit Pages, you're just going to come in and start typing. Hopefully, you can spell correctly, where I cannot. And you have the opportunity to add lots of different things. You can add links, you can add pictures, you can add tables. You can even add, to some extent, some embedded media and things like that. So really, it's kind of a blank canvas for you to do. Well, there we go. All right. So I'm going to type there, and then notice that I can click over here, and it pulls up a whole new text box that I can then type in. I can move around, drag and drop. So really you can create different sections and different things for your unit introduction or for any page that you create and have lots of variety. So I'm going to go to my Hamlet Act 1 module. I realize that I am an ELA teacher, and so Hamlet is not something that y'all are all excited about. But if you have questions about what this might look like for a different subject area, please let me know, and I'm happy to brainstorm with you and walk you through what that might look like. But as you can see, I've got a pacing guide for Hamlet Act 1. I always call it a pacing guide if I'm giving them several days to complete something or several different items to complete. But let me click on this. And you can see that I've embedded a picture that just says pace yourself, some instructions. Please refer to the pacing guide below to plan your week. I'm doing this in a week chunk, by the way. The most difficult part about this will be reading of Hamlet, so get started early. And then you can see that I've gone through and just given different days of work to do. Right here, it's just 3 days of instruction. I've given the assignment that they will want to work on that day, what the assignment weight is. I do heavy, medium, and light. So you might say, well, this is a test, this is a project, this is an essay, etc. And then just some quick and easy notes to sort of help them as they are navigating it. And so they kind of have an idea of what the next 3 days of instruction are going to look like just by glancing at this table. And I added it just by inserting and then going to table here. So that is my introduction and what I did with my blank page that showed up. Now notice that each of these additional pages are indented. What you can do is come up here to the top and right click on it, and you can either make it a subpage or you can promote the subpage to a regular page. So I can't do that on the top one, but if I come down to the next one, I can even move it further over, or I can promote it back. So you have the opportunity to make this look like an outline if you want to. If you have some main headers, if you have some smaller pages or activities to look at, you can give the students a lot of visual cues right here as they're looking at your unit. And that way, if you're worried about whether or not they need to, spend a lot of time on something or something is just secondary, they can see that, and it helps them understand the organization of the page, or the organization actually of the unit you're doing. So from this point, I can click plus page, and I'm going to have untitled pages show up that I'm then going to add things to. So really quickly, let me walk you through what I've got. First of all, after the introduction and the pacing guide, I've given them the standards that we are operating from. And you can see that there are several standards being used in this unit, and that way the students kind of have a roadmap for their learning. Next up, since we are reading the famous play, I've got the actual reading assignment. I've given them information about the text. I've given them information about how they're going to access it. There's a reading schedule, and then I've just linked in the text here. So, like this is No Fear Shakespeare. So these are lists of characters. And then if I come down here, I've got my Act 1 with the modern day translation to the right of it. So there's the text that the students have access to. If you have a text in a PDF or something, you can also embed that in here and let them see it as well. So you've got lots of options. So after reading, I give them their first assignment. Now, this is a group assignment, and I will give more on this later, but I say that this is a group assignment, so they need to access it from the collaboration space. So at this point, since I've given them these instructions, what they're going to do is come up here to collaboration space. They will be assigned to a certain group. But see there's the Act 1 reading guide, so they'll click on that, and then they can pull up the assignment file PDF and work with the members. One of the things I really like about Pages is that you have the opportunity to embed your assignment files in, and I'll walk you through what that looks like a little bit later. All right, so once they are done with the Act 1 reading guide, they will then go back to their module or their unit and go to the next assignment. So I have another assignment here that just basically says, please complete this assignment in a separate document and upload to the website in the father to son assignment. Here's the file below, and I've also embedded it. Now, I have created my assignments in the assignments section of the course. So if I'm a student, I will come over here and click on assignments. Of course, it's going to come up just for their class because that's where they're in. And then I'm like, okay, I'm doing father to son advice. So I've already viewed it. This is where I am going to enter it in. And of course, they have the opportunity to upload the assignment to that assignment file. The way that students can get to these assignments are by clicking on these two arrows up top, and then suddenly you can see the assignments right next to it in the class notebook. So they have some options. All right, so going back to the menu, I've also included a discussion forum in here. And basically, instead of putting the discussion here, because I don't want to grade it here, I want to look at it in a channel, I say you can locate the discussion in the Hamlet Act 1 channel, so please reply there. And so again, they can go to these arrows up here, minimize the notebook, Hamlet Act 1 channel, click on it, and here is the discussion that I've set up for them. It's got a picture, it's got directions, the writing stimulus, and it tells them what to answer. And then, of course, they can actually come in here and start replying and then submit that for their discussion grade. So to get back, they're going to go to General and then Class Notebook. And then if they want to expand it, they can. I know it's a lot of places and things to click on, but as they learn more and more about it, and as you do this more and more, it's going to feel more natural, which is good. All right, so the last assignment for this short 3-day unit is a journal entry. And notice I've said the same thing. Please complete this assignment in a separate document and upload to the website in the Journal of Virtual Swimmen assignment. I've got an assignment file that they can click on and download, and I've also embedded it here. And you can scroll down and see that it's just a 2-paragraph assignment that gives them pretty explicit instructions. Again, to access this, they're going to click on the arrows. They're going to click on assignments, and then they can click on the journal and reply to it there. So for purposes of organization, you can see that I've got the section under the teacher only piece, Hamlet Act 1. I've got my pacing guide as my introduction page, and then every single thing I want them to look at has its own page. Now, are you able to create a single page for them to look at and just have them scroll from the top to bottom? Absolutely. And I know some folks who will probably do that, and I've seen it done in other situations. For my brain, I like to have the division there. I like to see things compartmentalized, and it makes the entire task not so overwhelming. So just think about how your students are going to like, think about how they're going to interact with this, and think about the load that you're giving them inside of each unit and plan it accordingly. I think you'll find that some days you can create several pages, and then some weeks you might have just 1 or 2 pages because it's a lengthy assignment or there's a lot of reading involved. So think about what feels natural to you. Think about how many days you would spend on this, what sort of information you would give to the students while standing in front of the class, and then think about how to compartmentalize that into individual pages and individual days. Yeah, there's a lot of clicking around that you have to do, but once they are in it and in the class notebook and realize, okay, I click on this unit, I know that I need to do these things, they'll be able to follow along and keep track with everything. In the next video, I will show you actually how to distribute this to students to where they can see it. But for now, just think about what you want your units to look like and how you want your class notebook to be structured.